3 violent kidnappers. I'll show you his picture. Look at that cute little guy. Little Aveion Lewis, last seen on Thursday. The hardened thugs reportedly knocked at the back door of his apartment, then knocked his stepfather, Brandon Lockett, unconscious.
I heard a knock at the door. I went to the back door, and all I remember was boom. That's all I remember. When I came to, my wife was standing over me, and my son was, you know what I'm saying, he was crying. And my daughter, she was gagged upstairs in her room.
Also left at the scene, a ransom note for $10,000. There are reports Child Protective Services had been to the home before. Were warning signs ignored? A lot of pieces to this puzzle and still a lot of questions. And bottom line, little Aveion Lewis still nowhere to be found. As always, we take your calls, 1-877-TEL-HLN. Back with us, HLN law enforcement analyst Mike Brooks and investigative journalist Michelle Sagona. Always updates at our website, michellesagona.com. Michelle, any leads on this?
Yes, about 150 leads have come in on this investigation. You have Roanoke City Police, also in cooperation with the FBI. I did speak with the FBI earlier today, and they've had as many as 20 agents at one time working on this case. They are conducting searches by the air. They are on the ground. They are going door to door. They are asking people if they can search their property for clues. I also reached out to the local food line, Mike. There's a food line that backs up to this community. But they told me, unfortunately, they don't have surveillance on the outside of their building. But there is a gas station down the street. They wouldn't say for sure because investigators asked them not to speak out they wouldn't tell me exactly about their surveillance situation, but I do believe because investigators have told me that they have collected surveillance and they are looking at it, that they, cops at this time are looking for more, looking into that particular surveillance and possibly other businesses in the area.
Gotcha. Mike, is that the key here? Surveillance?
Surveillance, Mike, and any possible other evidence that were left at the scene. Is there any fingerprints on this note that could possibly be related to anybody who's been locked up in the past? And, Mike, and I said, and what did I say last week? I think, one of the things they need to do, they need to polygraph the stepdad. Where I know a lot of people are going to say it sounds cold and callous, but where do you start? Where do you start in any investigation like this? You always start with the people who are closest to the baby, who last saw that baby before it was at the house. And who was that? That was the stepdad.
Michelle, anybody questioning stepfather's story at this point?
Yes, investigators have spoken with both of the family members. And today they're not really going into a lot of detail about what they've talked about, but over the weekend I was told by a spokesperson for Roanoke City Police that although they are talking, they haven't been exactly forthcoming in a lot of the information. That's why investigators are sort of backing up because, you've got 3 suspects allegedly going into this residence, allegedly knocking the stepfather unconscious, taking this 2-year-old, tying up a 4-year-old and gagging her in the corner. There's still 2 other children that were inside of the residence that were on account. We don't know exactly if anything happened to them at all. So there's a lot of things that really aren't adding up at this point.
And Mike, if you recall, last week they said that one suspect was known as Tony, okay? So if the father was knocked out when they first came in, who heard the name Tony? Was it for the little 4-year-old in the house? Or did somebody possibly know this guy? We don't know.
Yeah.
And it was early in the afternoon. You figure police were called at 6:41 p.m. So the sun had just gone down.
Gotcha.
Right. And he supposedly had chased away some people from the back of the residence. Is that a true story or not? We don't know.
All right, Michelle, one other thing I want to hit on. Child Protective Services, were they at the home? What happened? Was little Aveion involved? Tell us about that.
Well, I would love to dive into more on Child Protective Services, but unfortunately they're closed today because it is a federal holiday. I did reach out to them and also asked investigators. They will absolutely not comment on that. But that is something that, we are working on and hopefully we'll be able to follow up more on tomorrow.
Okay, the report, again, this is reportedly, Michelle's trying to confirm, we are as well, that at 15 months, when he was 15 months old, little Aveion was taken out of the home for neglect. Again, that's a report. We're still waiting to verify. Mike, what do you do with family history? How much does that play into an investigation like this?
Oh, you go back into those Child Protective Services reports, see who was there at the house with the baby before, who had legal guardianship of the baby at the time, and anybody who was listed in any of the reports, you go back and you'll make sure all of them are interviewed at great length.
Okay. Mike, Michelle, as always, we appreciate it. We'll follow this one as well. Coming up, hope.